Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today we're doing predictions for King of the Ring. I would do the Queen of the Ring, but the other side of the bracket hasn't been confirmed yet, so there's no point doing that. That might be in the next video. I have recorded this before the Raw events have happened, although I do know that Jey Uso has replaced Drew McIntyre due to an injury. So before we get into that, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and check this out.
For a relaxing, sponsored daydream.
Are you tired of having no coins and coming up against teams that are absolutely cracked and better than yours? We'll go over to U7Buy, whose coins are cheap, fast, and reliable. You can use the link in the description, and make sure you use the code DEVS for a 6% off.
First up, we've got an absolute belter of our match. It is Gunther versus Sheamus, which we have seen a few times before, and they put on a clinic. It's always an absolute banger. This match is going to be very, very exciting to watch, but for me, there's only one winner for this, and it is the Ring General, and it is Gunther. Although Sheamus has only just come back, Gunther, I mean, he's lost the Intercontinental Championship, and if you put him in continuous matches where he's losing, that prestige of his kind of ability in the ring is going to slowly go down. And if Sheamus loses, he's got the accolades behind him. He's starting to get on that back stretch of his career. I'm sure he's got many more years anyway, but Gunther's still like up and coming. He still hasn't yet asserted himself at the top because he's only got the Intercontinental Championship, so I think he will progress from this match. Next up, we've got Kofi Kingston versus Rey Mysterio, which, again, is going to be an absolute banger because they're both great wrestlers in the ring. They've got great ability. Not too sure. I think this one could go either way, really. I just think that Rey Mysterio is kind of in a storyline at the moment with Carlito and the rest of his faction, whereas Kofi Kingston's not really in a storyline as far as I'm aware. Oh well, apart from being up against Imperium last week, but obviously we know what happened with that. But this kind of makes sense for my selection because I think Kofi is going to win this match, and he's going to go up against Gunther, so that kind of has the continuation of that storyline. So this fits quite nicely. The narrative fits quite nicely. Next up, to be fair, all these matches are probably going to be bangers. We've got Ilya Dragunov, who I haven't seen much about, but everything I've heard of him has been absolutely positive, raving reviews, and apparently he's like the next big thing. We shall see about that, of course. And he's going to come up against Ricochet. Again, I think this is quite easy, straightforward one to choose. I think there's only going to be one winner. I think it's going to be Dragunov. I think it's going to be a very good match, but it's going to be his first singles match on the main roster. He's only just got a call up from NXT. It'll be silly just to get him to lose in his first match against someone who's not at the top of the table, although Ricochet is a fantastic athlete. And in the final round one of the Raw side, we've got Jey Uso versus Finn Balor. Now, I don't really know what way this is going to go because Drew McIntyre was in this slot, so it would make sense that the outcome of this match would stay the same in terms of whether Balor wins or loses, and it kind of makes more sense if you're looking from the Drew perspective that Drew would win this and go through to the next round. So in that case, I think Jey Uso is going to win and go through to the next round. Starting over on the SmackDown side, we've got AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. This was one of the hardest ones that I had to choose off, to be fair. The whole SmackDown side is very difficult to choose, I think, like even when it gets into the later rounds. My thinking here is, again, similar to Kofi's, like kind of the storyline, there's not much happening. More so with AJ Styles, there's not really one here, especially after losing to Cody Rhodes. I don't think he's going to stay down that route. I think AJ Styles is going to win this, or Randy Orton. There might be some interference from Bloodline 2.0, but I'm not really sure if they're going to carry on with this storyline or if Bloodline 2.0 are kind of going to go find another feud because they've already won one. Although that doesn't make sense because there wasn't a clean win, so I think there's going to be interference from someone in the Bloodline 2.0. Next up, we've got Baron Corbin versus Carmelo Hayes. Baron Corbin getting his recall up back from NXT. He's done an incredible job down there, as I've heard. I don't really watch NXT, although I'm going to start watching it a bit more often, I think. And Carmelo Hayes, he put on an absolute clinic last week against Cody Rhodes. There was a little botch there, but it happens. It's live, and mate, he reacted to it really well. Like, there wasn't really much hesitation. He just kind of got back up and got into it as if it was meant to happen. I can't see him getting back-to-back losses as a new up-and-comer, and Baron Corbin, as much as I would like him to win because I do quite like him, I think Carmelo Hayes is going to get the win here. It's going to be a clean one. Next up, we've got LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. One of the easiest ones. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. LA Knight's going to win. He's one of the top baby faces in the game at the moment. It'll be very bizarre to see him lose, and Santos, I mean, I don't know, it's just not very believable he's going to win. And then the final match of all of round one, we've got Bobby Lashley versus Tama Tonga. Difficult one because although Orton and AJ are first in the listings, I feel like this could be the match first. So the outcome of this, for me, although Bobby Lashley would be a good one to go forward, I think he might have something developing with Carmelo Hayes potentially, whereas Tama Tonga is his first singles match. As far as I'm aware, it'll be very bizarre to see him lose because they're trying to build up this threat level that he's trying to impose on other people. I think Tama Tonga is going to win, and the reason I say this match is going to be one of the first ones is because he's going to win this, and then there might be an interference in the AJ versus Orton one, whereas if it was the other way around where AJ versus Orton was first and there was an interference there, then there'd be an interference in this one. So I think that's how it's going to play out. So yeah, anyway, Tama Tonga to go through. We have got the semi-finals on the Raw side, although you can call it the quarterfinals overall. That's what we're going to call it, the quarterfinals. We've got Gunther versus Kofi. There's only going to be one winner here again. I think Gunther's going to beat Kofi Kingston. It's going to be a very good match. Like I said, I'm not going to say that anymore because all of them are going to be good matches. But Gunther is going to win, and it's going to be quite a dominant display. I think there might be a little interference between Xavier Woods and also Ludwig Kaiser, but that's just going to kind of neutralize each other, and then Gunther's going to win. Then we have a banger right here, Ilya Dragunov versus Jey Uso. And the winner here, I think it's going to be Ilya Dragunov, trying to build him up to be someone who's not going to be easy to beat in a similar vein as Gunther, which is the reason why I see him winning this and going on to the semi-final to have a Gunther versus Dragunov. Oh, banger! Going back to SmackDown, we've got AJ Styles versus Carmelo Hayes. Very, very interesting to see how this one would play out. This is an absolute machine of a matchup, if that makes any sense, but I think Carmelo Hayes is going to continue his winning run from the week before, and he's going to get this W. Last match of the quarterfinals, we have LA Knight versus Tama Tonga. Leading off the back of the previous round, I think Randy Orton / Kevin Owens, probably Randy Orton, is going to get involved in this one, and it's going to lead to LA Knight winning and getting into the semi-finals. And this isn't going to diminish Tama Tonga's kind of threat levels. It's just going to say this is how he needs to be beaten because it's not going to be easy to beat him, and just the kind of revenge aspect from Randy Orton. The first semi-final, we have Gunther versus Ilya Dragunov. Difficult one to call. They've had bangers before, as I've been told. They've had a rivalry before, and there was talk about Dragunov joining Imperium, but I don't think it's going to be that way. I think they're going to keep their separate ways in terms of being on each other's sides. I think it's going to continue the rivalry. That just makes more sense, to be fair. But I think Gunther's going to continue on his path of destruction. I think he's going to win this one, but it's not going to diminish Dragunov's persona or kind of inevitability of him being this powerhouse that can't lose. And Gunther's not someone that you're going to be hurt by if you get beaten. Say in the same vein as Cody Rhodes, if you get beaten by Cody Rhodes because he's at the top, you're not going to be hurt unless you have a bad match with him. This is in exactly the same vein, so I think Gunther's going to win and get to the final. Next up, we have the hardest one to call for me. I spent a long time deciding who's going to win this one, and I'm still not sure, but I'm leaning towards LA Knight, because then you've got a heel versus a babyface in the final of Gunther versus LA Knight, and I think the crowd will just eat that up, especially in Saudi Arabia. You want your top guys being in the final. You want your top guys, so you get that reaction from Saudi Arabia. Hayes isn't at that caliber of talent yet because he hasn't really been showcased too much on the main roster, whereas LA Knight, he's at the top, Gunther's at the top, and this is the match that you want to see at the end, at the final, to crown the king of the ring. And the winner, I think, is going to be Gunther. I can't see him losing to LA Knight, unfortunately. As much as I'd like to see King Knight, it just rolls off the tongue quite nicely. I think we're going to see the king of the ring general, Gunther, and that is going to be the end of an incredible tournament at Saudi Arabia. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I've got any really wrong or really right, and how you think it's all going to play out, who you think is going to be the winner. And I hope you have a good day. Great week. I'll catch you in a bizzle.